Welcome back, people. How you all doing? I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. Right, American versus British homes with Emma Robinson. From a British perspective, living in the USA. Washing machines in the kitchen, we have that here. That's a thing here. I've definitely got my washing machine and dryer in my kitchen. Nowhere else for them to go. Something to do with plumbing in the old houses. But that's not always the case, because this building that I live in is not that old. It's all about space. So don't let anyone tell you it's about the plumbing. Your house is just bigger, way bigger in general as an average. But yeah, other than that, I can't think of anything else. The size of the house and the washing machine. Right, so yeah, let's check it out. Let's see what she tells us about it. Oh, give it a like, give it a like.
It's no secret that in Britain we like to live on top of each other. We squeeze into small old houses and like to share a wall with our neighbours. Of course, that's not every single house. I'm talking about the general picture and averages here. In fact, only around 25% of our homes are detached. But living here in America now, the difference is hard to miss. To put it into perspective, the average UK home is 818 square feet, while here, a typical family home is closer to 2,200 square feet. And as
I ain't got a clue what the size this is here. If it's like 800, the average, I'm probably guessing mine's about 500, a flat I live in. Probably even smaller. I really do not know.
someone who has moved to the suburbs from an area in England that's seen Celtic, Roman, Saxon, Viking, and Norman settlement, where the doors are barely 66 inches tall, size isn't the only difference you notice. So, today we are looking at just how different the houses are between the UK and the US. Once you've lived in both, you start to notice a lot of little differences that you never really would have thought about beforehand. Like no switches on plug sockets, and plugs and light switches actually inside the bathroom, which is a lot more convenient. In Britain, they're either on the outside wall or they're dangling from a pull cord because, well, we don't want to get electric shocked.
Where I am now, it's got a pull cord on the inside. But yeah, a lot of switches on outside. It's Courier Electrics, double the wattage. Is that what we say? I don't know. Double the voltage. Yeah, it's 240. I think ours is. Yours is half of that. I think 120. I think I'm right.
But in case you're wondering, the reason it's different is because the UK has a higher voltage of electricity and high safety risks. We do have special shaver sockets that are specially designed to be safe, but you can't exactly dry your hair with one of those. So it is definitely better here.
I've never used a shaver socket. I genuinely haven't. It's either been a wet shave or one with batteries in it. These days, they just come with USB cables to charge it up, don't they? I've literally never, ever owned a plug that goes in them because it kind of like our sockets in our bathrooms kind of look like your plugs over there. Thinking about it, I've never really thought about that.
And while we were on the topic of bathrooms, the toilet is a big one because it's actually inside the bathroom here. Back home, like many British houses, ours had a tiny separate toilet room where you could barely close the door once you were inside, a leftover from when indoor plumbing was added after the house was built. It wasn't until the 1970s that the toilet started getting moved into the main bathroom, but some homes, like my old house, still kept it separate.
It's crazy that we had toilets outside back in the day, but it makes sense though because of the hygiene of it. You know what I mean? But there was flushing toilets outside in the outside outhouses and that. But yeah.
American homes also went through that same transition, back then. But because there was usually a bathroom. But some homes, like my old house, still kept it separate. Older American homes also went through that same transition, but because there was usually more space, bathrooms here were more often built as one room with everything together. Another key difference is laundry rooms. In the UK, I have lived in many houses, and in every single one,
my parents kind of had a laundry room. They've got dryers and other stuff in a room with clean washing and that ready to go away. But the washing machine is still in the kitchen though.
Washing machine has been in the kitchen, and there has never ever been any space for a dryer. This is simply because of space constraints in older homes and existing plumbing. In newer homes, it's still quite common to find the washing machine in the kitchen, but some do have a small laundry room. But it still isn't that common, especially when you compare it to the US. And this takes us neatly back to the size. The typical American home is
Loads
huge
bigger.
compared to Britain's. And to understand why, we need to look at how they're built. Because the reason for this isn't simply just because America is a bigger country. So, of course, as always, it starts with history. Before the Great Fire of London in 1666, most homes in
Started in Pudding Lane.
Britain were timber framed, just like many American houses today. But when the fire tore through London,
In the
new
bakery,
building
I think.
regulations forced a shift away from wood and toward brick and stone, materials that were far more fire resistant and longer lasting. Over time, that became the standard across the country. Timber
The new builds are terrible. They're so ugly. They'll all tap the new builds. Got some new builds going up pretty close to us, right on the edge of a nice little village. I don't know. It's half done, and it's no one's done up to it now for a couple of years at least. And yeah, it looks rough. The houses that I lived in, the people that are there made it look nice, and don't get me wrong, but I don't know when they're going to finish it. But they all look the same, all the new builds. Not a
also
fan.
wasn't ideal for Britain's damp, humid climate. It rots, warps, and grows mold unless constantly maintained. Something people centuries ago didn't have the means to manage. On top of that, much of Britain's woodland had already been cleared for shipbuilding, heating, and farming, which made timber expensive and scarce. Brick, on the other hand, was cheap, easy to get, and kept homes warmer during long cold winters. America, on the other hand, had the
See, today it's red outside. 20 degrees it is outside. That's very hot for here. For me anyway. Is that I ain't got a clue. 60 summer in your language. But anyway, it's really warm. But if you keep the windows closed, you come in and it's really, really cool in here still. Really, really cool. But yeah, as soon as you open windows, it's like opening a damn oven. But yeah, it's definitely keeping the cool in here.
exact opposite situation. Early settlers found endless forests and a huge supply of cheap timber. Wood was fast, affordable, and easy to build with, and it still is. Most modern American homes are timber.
I'm going to have to stop and say again, the flashing keeps doing my head in on my other monitors. I'm going to have to try, I ain't got a clue what it is. I keep taking my wires out and adjusting them and stuff, but I keep seeing flickering. If it's flickering at the other end once I've edited it and all that sort of stuff, I'm sorry. I'll try my best for next time to make it go away. It's driving me mad.
Because
Corner
it's
of my eye.
cost effective. Wood was fast, affordable, and easy to build with, and it still is. Most modern American homes are timber framed because it's cost effective, quick to construct, and easy to transport. So instead of moving away from wood like Britain did, they built their housing system around it and adapted to make it work. Even in parts of the US,
I've seen some a bit ago as well, not too long ago to be fair, about there's whole systems around the construction industry in countries, isn't they? So America's built on building most houses out of wood. So it ain't just about changing out the wood to bricks. It's just everything else in between, innit, that has to adjust for changing from wood to brick, or vice versa. Its entire industry has to change.
that are
Saw
wetter
that
and colder than the
a
UK,
few weeks ago.
timber still works because building methods evolved to make it more durable and weather resistant. Of course, timber does have its downsides. It's more vulnerable to fire and moisture than brick or stone, but it's pressure treated to resist rot, and fire retardant treatments are common for structural framing. Combined with modern weatherproofing and regular upkeep, timber houses can last for decades. In hurricane-prone areas like Florida and along the Gulf Coast, homes are often built with concrete block or reinforced masonry for extra protection. But overall,
I know that you do have a lot of brick houses over there. You see them all, the beautiful, the ones that I've seen on the videos and that. And on movies, you tend to have, not so much here, but you have like terracotta style ones as well. Where would I normally see that the most? I see it in movies. Would it be in places like Hollywood and stuff? That, you know, like, you know what I mean? You know what terracotta is, don't you? The terracotta roof tiles.
timber remains
I
the
know that you have
dominant
them. They
building
look good.
material, and that is the standard for across most of the country. And because it's quicker and cheaper to build with, it helped shape the way a lot of American neighborhoods developed, with larger plots, more detached homes, and a lot more space. And that space doesn't just show outside, it changes the way the inside of the home feels as well. In the US, you typically get far more space for your money, with
More
features
open
like
plan.
basements, attics, and open plan layouts.
Yeah.
And all of this together makes the home
There's like loads of different boxed off sections of houses over here, and every section's got doors on it.
feel bigger and brighter. Older British homes would
To be fair, a lot of people now have rejuvenated, redone their house, rejigged their house about until open it up and that. But it's not as easy.
with features like basements, attics, and open plan
Yeah,
layouts.
basements, that's not a
And
thing.
all of this together makes the home feel bigger and brighter. Older British homes were designed to hold in heat, not to create wide flowing
cold.
spaces, which is why they often have fewer windows and more divided rooms. Even our newer homes in the UK are typically smaller than your average suburban house. Of course, just like in the UK, there are places in the US like New York City, San Francisco,
See,
or
they're
historic suburbs where you'll pay a
I love the old townhouses like that. What would you call them houses there? What would you call them? We'd call them townhouses, yeah. I feel as though you'd call it the same thing.
suburbs where you'll pay a premium even for something small. But overall, when you look at more typical towns and suburbs, space just works differently here. And then there's heating. Most UK homes rely on radiators, while in the US, it's mostly forced air systems, which also makes it easier to integrate AC.
Very rare, but you do see them. You do see them, but very, very rare.
Roughly 90% of US homes have air conditioning. In the UK, it is less than
But again, I don't know whether they're just random vents or they are to push warm air out or not. I'm guessing they're just probably random vents, the ones that I've seen.
5%. Easier to integrate AC. Roughly 90% of US homes have air conditioning. In the UK, it is less than 5%. UK homes just weren't designed with it in mind, and once you've lived in a house with aircon,
What's you going to say?
there's just no going back.
See, again, I bet a lot of people will disagree with me, but me personally, I don't feel the need. It's nice and cool in here. It's lovely and hot when I go outside. No, I don't need no.
And another big difference, how old the houses actually are. Both the UK and the US have some very old homes. In England, one of the oldest continuously lived in houses is Salford Manor House. It's a Norman home dating back to around 1148, and it's still lived in today.
That surprised me. I thought it'd be a little bit older than that.
In the US,
Not the building, I mean the continuously lived in.
is Salford Manor House. It's a Norman
It's like a
home
church.
dating back to around 1148, and it's still lived in today. In the US, one of the oldest surviving timber framed houses is the Fairbanks House in Massachusetts. It was built in
See, I don't know whether it's Hollywood that's done it to me, But this looks like the sort of things that you see in the horror films. I don't know whether that's movie's done that to me.
House
It's
in
got to be, hasn't it?
Massachusetts. It was built in 1641 and it's now a museum. But the real difference isn't the oldest homes, it's what people live in day to day. In the US, the median home age is about 40 years, which means half of the homes were built before the early 1980s and half
Only
after.
40 years, that
That
surprises
number
me.
also varies a lot by state. Some places like Nevada and Utah have much newer housing, while states like New York and Rhode Island have some of the oldest.
I like that with the garden.
In the UK, there isn't a single median figure because the housing spans centuries. Around 38% of homes were built before 1946, and many of them are still lived in today, not preserved as landmarks, but everyday family homes like Victorian and Edwardian terraces. And just like in the US, this varies by region. Some areas have more modern developments and others are full of period properties. And that's why age really matters. It shapes how homes are laid out, how easy they are to heat, and how much freedom you have to change them. In the US, knocking through walls or adding extensions is very common. In the UK, with older terraces, smaller plots, and listed building protections, major changes are
Yeah, you got to
often
get permission
trickier
if you live in
and
an old
a
house.
lot more expensive. So now I'm curious, if you had the choice, would you rather live in a charming centuries-old British home or a big modern American house with all the space? Let me know in the comments. I've experienced both, and honestly, each does have its charm. My home back in England was built in 1899 and was converted into flats in the 1980s. It's full of history.
Where I am, this flat that I'm in probably built 70s or 80s. I haven't got a clue. Might even be later than that. No history to the flat I live in. I was going to say something. I should have stopped a minute ago.
And character, sure, of course it is.
What was I going to say?
But it was with all the space. Let me know in the comments.
Right, see, I'll have to. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Where would I rather live? In a lovely little cottage over here or a big old house over there? I don't know. I've not even been in a lovely little cottage here, so I've not even tested that out yet. Definitely haven't been over to America and tested the houses out over there. I don't know what I mean by test them out, but hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. But I don't know yet.
I've experienced both, and honestly, each does have its charm. My home back in England was built in 1899 and was converted into flats in the 1980s. It's full of history and character, sure, of course it is, but it's tiny, very, very, very small. So if I had to choose, honestly, I would choose the space every single time. So let me know in the comments which type of house you would prefer to live in. And if you want to see more UK versus US comparisons, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what kind of comparisons do you love hearing about the most.
Right, yeah, no, I knew they was going to talk about the washing machine.
I've now done 2 videos asking British people
the houses, but for me, obviously I've been over to America and seen what the houses are like for real myself, in person, yeah. But at the same time, I don't want a massive house. I don't know if that's because I'm used to living in tiny places. I do not know, but I couldn't be bothered to clean up a massive house. Does me head in tidying up in a small flat. But yeah, that was fascinating. I'm going to do this tomorrow, I reckon, this one. I did. Brit's shocked about how poor we are compared to you guys over there. But this is opposite way around. Americans shocked about how richer they are than Brits. So I'll be checking that one out tomorrow. But yeah, if you guys made it this far, give us a thumbs up and all that good stuff if you want to. And enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye. Bye-bye.